Jake Mercer wasn't just filming survival videos, he was filming his victims. Known online as Wilderness Jake, he built a loyal following by trekking deep into the Pacific Northwest alone. The man behind it, known only as Jake, stood out not for flashy edits or dangerous stunts, but for his calm, steady presence. He wasn't trying to go viral. His videos were slow-paced, almost meditative. Each episode showed him setting off into the remote forests of the Pacific Northwest with minimal gear, walking alone into silence. Jake often returned to the same areas, referring to them as my grounds. He never specified the exact locations, but maps shown in the background of his gear reviews hinted at certain state parks and forest trails. Most people assumed it was just familiarity, but those trails would later become known for something else entirely, something that no one watching those peaceful videos could have predicted. Even more curious, 3 of them had mentioned, in comments or posts, watching Wilderness Jake and being inspired to try solo hiking. That was the first thread. Another user cross-referenced the dates of Jake's uploads with the missing persons timelines. They mapped Jake's recurring filming locations and matched them to missing hiker reports. Viewers were left wondering whether they were imagining it all, seeing evil where there was none. The wilderness wasn't just his retreat, it was his hunting ground. And the camera lens was the only thing standing between his secrets and the outside world. To most, it was just another unsettling dark web hoax, but a few viewers recognized something eerily familiar. The background terrain, the cadence of the breathing, and especially the phrases, it all matched Wilderness Jake. His fans knew those phrases well. They had been repeated in his videos for years. In doing so, they revealed what investigators had missed, a silent loop of danger centered around Jake's so-called favorite grounds. Titled Only WJ Live, the video showed shaky nighttime footage of someone moving silently through a dense forest. The perspective was first person, captured from a head-mounted camera. There was no introduction, no explanation, only the rhythmic crunch of leaves and twigs underfoot and the steady sound of breathing. Occasionally, the camera paused to show strange objects left behind in the woods, a knife stabbed into a tree, a scorched piece of a sleeping bag, a boot caked in dried mud. In 2 cases, Jake had posted videos within days of their disappearances. One video, Creekside Shelter Build, was filmed near the same area where a woman named Carrie Douglas was last seen. He rarely spoke directly to the camera unless giving instructions. In one clip, Jake stood beside a tree with deep gouge marks in the bark. At the time, he mentioned it was probably from a bear. Later, a Redditor pointed out that the marks looked more like someone had clawed at the wood with their hands. In another video, a distant shape appeared behind him, still and shadowed. Jake never acknowledged it, and the camera cut away quickly. What no one realized was that the survivalist wasn't just braving nature, he was stalking within it. 5 hikers, all experienced in traveling solo, vanished without a trace. Their cases were scattered across state lines and handled by separate jurisdictions. There were no signs of struggle, no bodies found, no clear links between them, at least not officially. Each hiker had embarked on a journey through thick forest trails, documented their plans on social media, then went silent. Most people assumed accidents had happened, a fall, a misstep, an encounter with wildlife. He built shelters, started fires without matches, tracked animals, and shared tips for staying safe in the wild. His knowledge was impressive and precise, and his movements methodical. He wasn't performing, he was surviving. But behind the calm voice and peaceful forest scenes was a calculated killer who turned his channel into a hunting log, hiding chilling truths in plain sight. He wasn't trying to entertain, he was trying to exist. His catchphrase became a quiet signature: "There's peace in silence if you know how to listen." It appeared in the description of every video and on the custom merchandise he began selling. Comments praised how he brought them peace. Some even said his videos helped with their anxiety or insomnia. It was strange in a way. Watching a man disappear into isolation was comforting to tens of thousands of strangers. What his viewers thought were nature sounds were something else entirely. In 2019, a YouTube channel called Wilderness Jake quietly appeared among the endless sea of survival content online. Jake's channel grew steadily. Fans appreciated the lack of dramatics, but some viewers began to notice odd details. In one episode titled Solo Night in Bear Valley, faint screams could be heard in the background. Jake didn't acknowledge them, and the comments debated whether it was real or edited in. In another video, he found a piece of torn fabric near a stream. He held it up to the camera for a second before tossing it aside, saying nothing. It was easy to miss unless you were paying close attention. These details didn't alarm most people. It was the wilderness, after all. Strange things happen. Still, there was something unsettling beneath the surface. At first, Wilderness Jake was just another survival channel. Between 2019 and 2021, a series of disappearances quietly unfolded across the Pacific Northwest. But a user on a true crime forum noticed something strange. All 5 individuals had disappeared within a 50-mile radius. The coincidences piled up. Viewers began combing through his old content, looking at backgrounds, listening closely to the ambient sounds. The growing online community began piecing together a possible pattern. But there was still no hard evidence. No confessions, no direct links. Jake's videos never showed anything overtly violent. His voice remained calm, his eyes unreadable. What they didn't know was that Jake had been carefully documenting his surroundings not just for views but for himself. In March 2021, a disturbing live stream appeared on a dark web forum. The figure never spoke clearly, but low, distorted whispers could be heard, fragments of phrases like "they walk right past me" and "peace and silence." To most, it was just another unsettling dark web hoax, but a few viewers recognized something eerily familiar. The background terrain, the cadence of the breathing, and especially the phrases, it all matched Wilderness Jake. His fans knew those phrases well. They had been repeated in his videos for years. Word spread quickly. Internet sleuths rushed to compare the live stream footage with Jake's public content. Within days, they matched specific trees, rock formations, and trail markers from the stream to multiple videos from Jake's channel. Beneath a layer of pine needles and branches, they uncovered a shallow grave. Inside it was a decomposed body, later identified as one of the missing hikers. And buried next to it, a small waterproof container holding SD cards and a compact digital camera. The camera lingered on her for nearly an hour, zooming in and out, never getting closer, just observing. These weren't just descriptions, they were detailed observations about each victim's habits, routes, and weaknesses. Inside, they found walls lined with maps and coordinates, many marked in red. There were printed screenshots of comments from his own YouTube videos, circled and underlined. And what it revealed was not a survivalist, but a predator who used the wilderness and the internet as his camouflage. Most disturbing were photographs, some taken from behind trees, others while victims were asleep in their tents. Psychologists described him as methodical, emotionally detached, and driven by control rather than impulse. The evidence was overwhelming, and it only continued to grow. DNA linked him to 3 victims. GPS data from deleted files on his drone matched the last known locations of 2 others. Symbols carved into bark, stones stacked in strange patterns, and remnants of old campsites. And in the eerie realization that the most dangerous predator can be the one holding the camera. No one is sure if they're clues, imitations, or something worse. Every trail, every hike, every upload had been another step in a long and chilling plan. He had been closer to them than anyone had realized. Thousands had watched his videos, praising his calm demeanor, his knowledge of survival, and his respect for nature. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His channel was taken down by YouTube, but mirror copies and downloads continued to circulate in underground forums. Some viewers still obsessively comb through his old footage, convinced there are more victims unidentified, unreported, and still out there in the forests he once called his own. They had unknowingly followed a serial killer through the very landscapes where he hunted. Jake had labeled them as subjects and gave each a number. He listed entry points into trails, estimated response times for local rescue teams, and weather patterns. It was a chilling display of strategic thinking, as if each disappearance had been treated like a project. The next clip cut to a different location, showing a tattered sleeping bag and drag marks leading into the trees. In another video, someone was bound to a tree, barely visible in the low light. The person moved slightly, still alive. The camera panned slowly, then cut to black. Even more alarming was that the objects shown in the stream, burned fabric, bloodied tools, signs of struggle, were in areas Jake had recently filmed. It wasn't staged. It was real. As the suspicion grew, Jake posted a new video titled "Don't Believe Everything You Hear." He offered no resistance and said nothing during the arrest. In his vehicle were a tactical knife, survival gear, 3 burner phones, and a printed list of names, some crossed out. some not. Prosecutors built their case almost entirely from Jake's own content, his YouTube videos, the recovered SD cards, and the handwritten journals found in his cabin. Every piece of footage that once captivated his audience was now re-examined through a darker lens. What had once seemed like harmless survival routines were now seen as rehearsals, carefully edited masks hiding brutal crimes. The courtroom watched in stunned silence as prosecutors showed clips of Jake calmly walking through the woods, passing within feet of where bodies were later discovered. Calm as ever, he dismissed the rumors, claiming people were exploiting tragedy for attention. He didn't directly mention the stream, but his tone was defensive. His comment section exploded with speculation. Some fans defended him, but others pointed out that certain videos had been quietly deleted from his channel in the past week. That same weekend, two hikers stumbled across something gruesome while exploring an unmarked trail near Mount Crescent, an area Jake had visited repeatedly. The footage on those cards would unravel the truth that no one wanted to believe. The man behind Wilderness Jake hadn't just been surviving in the wild, he had been recording his hunts. The peaceful silence of the forest had been hiding something horrific. When investigators reviewed the contents of the memory cards found near the shallow grave, what they uncovered was worse than anyone had imagined. The videos were raw, unedited, and silent, no music, no talking, just the ambient sounds of nature and the quiet steps of someone who clearly knew the terrain. The footage revealed a level of patience and calculation that chilled even seasoned detectives. It showed the same style of movement Jake displayed in his YouTube videos, slow, deliberate, and controlled. But these weren't tutorials or guides. These were recordings of stalks moments leading up to someone's disappearance. In one clip, filmed during early morning fog, the camera focused from a distance on a young woman packing up her campsite. She was alone, unaware of being watched. One of the most haunting files was a folder containing handwritten notes. Police raided Jake's off-grid cabin deep in the Olympic National Forest. When Jake was arrested 2 days later, he was found sleeping in the back of his SUV, parked at a gas station on the outskirts of town. The mask of Wilderness Jake had finally been torn away. The trial of Jake Mercer, the man once known as Wilderness Jake, became one of the most shocking and widely covered criminal cases in recent history. He never confessed. He remained eerily calm during the proceedings, staring straight ahead while former subscribers, family members of the victims, and investigators testified. The public struggled to comprehend the truth. Jake hadn't just hidden in plain sight, he had built an audience while doing so. After a swift trial, Jake was found guilty on multiple counts of murder, unlawful disposal of human remains, and premeditated stalking. To this day, hikers report finding odd markings along the trails Jake once filmed on. Because Jake may be behind bars, but his legacy still lingers hidden in the trees, in the silence, and in the eerie realization that the most dangerous predator can be the one holding the camera.